How's it going? Dave here. Welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, I figured I'd do something a little bit different. I'm gonna do a tier list today. That means I'm a proper YouTuber now. So I'm gonna be running down everything I think you should know as a guitar player. There's probably gonna be things that I've forgotten, but this covers techniques, this covers theory, chords, scales, all that kind of thing. Let's jump straight into it. Here is the tier list that's divided into 5 different tiers. We've got the why haven't you learnt this yet tier. Learn straight away. That means if you haven't learnt it, then you should probably prioritize learning it. Essential, quite obvious there. It's essential to know, but the tiers above it are probably what you should prioritize if you don't know any of those things. Important is the next tier, important things to know. And then the bottom tier is good to know, but it can wait. So everything in this list is stuff that you probably should know. Obviously, I've tiered it based on the importance and what you should prioritize. So let's get straight into it. So I'm not gonna go in order because there's some more advanced things at the start here. So let's start with, the note names. And this goes in the why haven't you learnt this yet tier. You should know what all the note names are, all the way from A up to G sharp. And you should also know where to find them on the fretboard. So you should be able to identify, oh, here I'm playing a C, here I'm playing a G, here I'm playing an E, here I'm playing a G sharp, okay? So you should be able to do that. That's one of the essential things you need to know as a guitarist. It is basically the basis of every other theoretical thing that you do, so must prioritize that. Let's move on to the next one, intervals. So intervals, if I could place it in between, I'd place it in between these two, but I think I'm gonna place it in the why haven't you learnt this yet tier as well. Just absolutely essential thing to learn. Intervals are basically just the measure of the distance between two notes. So those two notes are an octave apart, that's the interval, okay? So here is a fifth. Okay, here is a sharp fourth or a tritone, you could call it, okay? A second, a third. This is really important to know as scales and chords are built using intervals. Intervals are basically the building blocks of music, so very, very important thing to know as well. Let's get on to something a bit different. So let's go, picking them at random here. Let's go grace notes. Where did the grace notes go? Where did grace notes go? Where was it? I literally saw it and then it's just disappeared. I can't find it now. There it is, grace notes, okay? Essential technique, yeah? It's very, very important to learn. This is probably one of the things that improved my playing most, and it's such a simple thing to do as well. All it is where we are playing a note. For example, I'm playing the 7th fret of the G string here, but instead of just playing the note, we play a note just before that leads us in. And you can do this with a hammer-on or you can do it with a slide. So I'm gonna play the 5th fret and hammer on the 7th fret. And it's very instant, it's like that. You can also do it with the slide. Oh. Okay. It just adds a little bit more variety to your playing, makes your playing sound a bit more sophisticated. So it's a great technique to learn, okay? Let's go with ear training next. Ear training is, learn this straight away. This is very, very important to get down, okay? So if you wanna be able to play other people's songs by ear, or if you wanna be able to work out what you're hearing in your head and play it on guitar, ear training is essential, like being able to identify chord progressions, specific chords, specific notes and scales that people are using in their music. It's a very important skill to have, as then you can apply that stuff into your own playing, okay? So it's pretty self-explanatory there. Ear training, very important. The basic level that you should at least have is being able to identify intervals up to an octave, and you should be able to identify major and minor chords, and maybe diminished and augmented chords as well. That's probably the extent of ear training that you should absolutely know. Then let's go to note values. Why haven't you learnt this yet? Note values, basically how long a note that you're playing lasts, okay? So for example, you've got whole notes, half notes, quarter notes, eighth notes, 16th notes, 30-second notes, okay? It's really important to know the value of the note that you're playing so that you know how many can fit into a bar, and so that if someone else is telling you, for example, I want you to strum this in eighth notes, you know how to strum in eighth notes. You know, oh, there's 8 in the bar, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so on. The major scale. Learn this straight away, okay? Major scale is pretty much the basis of Western music, okay? Everything comes from the major scale. Most pop songs you hear are played in the major key, okay? So definitely a must to learn. Sounds quite basic. okay? But there's lots of things you can do to expand it once you've learned it, okay? But you can't really go learning other scales and other weird, crazy notes and chromatic notes to add to your playing until you actually know the foundational scale that you're playing with and you're kind of branching out of, okay? So the major scale, very, very important. Let's do something a bit different here. I'm just gonna literally stop here. There we go, harmonics, okay. Important, let's say, no, good to know, but like, they can wait. Like, then they're not hugely important. So you've got your like natural harmonics, okay? They have a cool sound, but not really that important to know. You've got pinch harmonics as well. I don't know if I can do it with a clean tone. There we go, just about. There we go. Okay, so maybe it might be moved up to the important level if you're like a metal player, and all we play is Pantera riffs, but harmonics, not the most important thing to learn, okay? Transposition, essential skill to have. You really do need to know how to transpose things, and luckily on guitar it's very easy. So transposition is just when you move something into a different key, and all you've got to do on guitar is move it up or down the fretboard. We're lucky as like every fret is just a semitone, so we can just move things up and down. If you're on a keyboard, for example, the white notes and the black notes change and everything, it gets quite confusing. So be grateful that you only have to move things up and down on a guitar, okay? But at the same time, it is an essential thing to be able to do. You need to be able to move things into a different key, and obviously you need to know the note names and intervals and stuff to be able to do that as well. So learn those things in the why haven't you learned this yet tier first before you start working on transposing things, okay? So let's move on to the next one, okay? So let's go slides. Essential technique to have, okay? If you want to get that kind of neo-soul sound, this channel is predominantly a neo-soul channel. You want that slidey, smooth sort of sound. Yeah, sliding between notes is very, very important, okay? It just creates a very smooth sound, okay? So essential technique, I'd say, to learn, okay? The next technique or concept we'll take a look at is augment. Let's go with, where is it? Tertiary harmony, okay? Learn this straight away. So once you've learnt your major scale, yeah, you want to learn how chords are built from the major scale. So we use tertiary harmony. That means chords are built with thirds, okay? So for example, in the G major scale, you play 1, 2, 3, 1 and 3, and then another third above that, we get a G major chord, and then you can do that from A. So A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, and then F sharp diminished. Okay, and that's how you create chords in a key. So tertiary harmony is very, very important to learn. That is, again, sort of the basis of chords and chord progressions, okay? Once you know all the chords in a key, then you can start building chord progressions. Next thing, functional harmony. This is essential, okay? Functional harmony basically tells you kind of the function that a chord in a key has, okay? So after you've learned your tertiary harmony, then functional harmony is going to be the next thing you want to learn. Chords fall into different categories: tonic, subdominant, dominant chords. The tonic chords kind of less tense, subdominant a bit more tense, and then the dominant chords really add a lot of tension to the progression, and then you want to resolve them back to a tonic chord. I've spoken about this in the first chapter of my book, which you can check out down below for free. The first 2 chapters, in fact, you can check out for free. That is a very, very important thing to learn. Next, oh God, there's a lot of stuff to go over, and this is already a long video. Okay, let's try and speed through this a bit. Okay, tapping, good to know, but it can wait, yeah. You can do all that Eddie Van Halen stuff, but there's also cool applications, like you can kind of play 2 notes at once. You can really add some cool sounds to your playing. Maybe this might be important or essential if you're playing maybe math rock, or you really want to focus on being a lead player. But for me and most players, I'd say it's a technique that's good to know, but not essential. Hammerons and Pulloffs. Now, this is one that is between the first 2. I'm going to say learn this straight away. Yeah, it's the basis of getting that smooth legato sound in your playing, okay? So definitely learn Hammerons and Pulloffs. Inversions, learn this straight away. Very, very important, okay? Once you've learnt chords, okay, you can invert them. So basically, changing the order of the notes. If we take a C chord, you've got the notes C, E, and G. And what we can do is we can start on E now. So we can just rearrange the notes, E, G, C, and we've got what is called first inversion. And then you can rearrange the notes from G again. So we've got G, C, E, that's second inversion. And what that helps you do is voice leading. Voice leading is a very, very cool technique. So say, for example, we were playing the chord progression C, F, and G. As you can see, we're playing all over the fretboard there, but when we're doing voice leading, in one place in the fretboard. If we know our inversions, okay? So inversions are very, very important. The reason why you'd want to do voice leading is if you're playing with a guitarist, another guitarist, they might be playing in the lower register, you want to play in the upper register. If you can voice lead, then you can keep things up in the upper register. Also makes things like chord progressions sound smoother and gives you more options when you're soloing. So it's very, very important to learn your inversions. Next, seventh chords, essential. Yeah, it's just following on from tertiary harmony. Yeah, once you've got major chords, minor chords, then you can build them into major sevenths, minor sevenths, dominant sevenths. Just adds a bit more of a jazzy sound to your chord progressions. Like instead of just playing a minor, you can play a minor 7. Instead of just playing a major, you can play a major 7. Okay, just sounds a bit more sophisticated. Good to know, very, very good to know. In fact, it's essential. Time signatures, why haven't you learnt this yet? You need to know what time signatures are, yeah. Even if it's just the basic time signatures, the basic time signatures are 4/4, 3/4, 6/8, 12/8. These dictate how long a bar is and what that bar is made up of. It's quite simple actually. If we've got a 4/4 bar, if you know your note values, then the top part of the equation is how many beats are in the bar. The bottom part of the fraction or equation or whatever you want to call it is the note value that the note on top has. So basically 4/4 means 4 quarter notes, okay? If the bar was 5/4, the bar would be 5 quarter notes. Or if the bar was 12/8, then it'd be 12 eighth notes in length, okay? So it's quite simple. Let's take a look at some more things. Articulation. Learn this, no, essential, okay? Articulation is basically how you play a note, whether you play it staccato or nice and smoothly like that. Very important, just adds variety and more interest to your soloing and whatever you're playing, okay? So a lot of beginners will just play every single note the same, but when you can add articulation, okay, it just sounds a little bit more sophisticated, okay? So let's move on. Sweep picking, let's go. Good to know, but it can wait, yeah. It's good to show off to friends, but in terms of like songwriting and stuff, it's not the most important thing in the world. Can be very, very useful for writing solos and stuff, but I'd say there are better things to prioritize, okay? So sweep picking, very, very good technique to know. Very helpful in a lot of situations, but definitely more important things. Alternate picking though, this is another technique that I'd say, if I could put it in between these two, I would, but I'm gonna go learn this straight away. Lots of guitarists, when they're beginners, will downpick everything, but there's only a limit to how fast you can play when you downpick, okay? When you alternate pick, you instantly double how fast you can play, all right? Very, very important to learn alternate picking. Allows you to play scales, licks, and whatever you're playing faster. Must know, okay? Let's move on to dynamics, okay? So learn this straight away, okay? Dynamics basically just mean how loud or how soft you're playing, okay? You want a great range in dynamics to make your playing sound more interesting and exciting to the listener. Quite simple. Let's move on. My mouth is now getting dry from talking so much. I can't talk properly. Let's keep going. The caged system. I'd say this is essential. The cage system basically, in fact, I'm going to move this into important. Important is quite lonely at the moment. Cage system, actually no, it is an essential thing to know. It is an essential thing to know. Okay, so cage system basically allows you to play one chord 5 different ways based on the open chord shape. So we could play, for example, a C. Okay, that's our C shape. Well, we could play a C chord with an A shape. So that's our A shape, but if we play a C chord with the A shape, it looks like that. If we play a C chord with the G shape, it looks like that. If we play the C chord with an E shape, it looks like that. And if we play the C chord with the D shape, it looks like that. And just like inversions, it gives us more options on the fretboard for playing particular chords, okay? It also helps with soloing, gives you different shapes to play over particular chords. Let's take a look at the next one. Reading tabs and chord diagrams, Why haven't you learned this yet? Just do it. Like just do it. That's probably one of the first things you should learn as a guitarist. So if you haven't done that, then just stop the video and just learn how to do that now. Right, reading sheet music. This goes into important, okay? Reading sheet music, and this is just for guitarists. If you're playing other instruments, then it's probably more important. But as a guitarist, you've got tabs, you've got chord diagrams. That's how we predominantly read music. Now, this is going to be really important for you if you want a job where like reading sheet music is essential, like being like a session player or something like that. For most guitarists, we don't need to read sheet music. It is important in some cases if you want to be able to read rhythms, that's important. And it can be really useful when learning songs. For example, if like the only resource available is sheet music, then knowing how to read the sheet music is very important. But there's that joke that goes around about guitarists, isn't there? Like, oh, how do you make a guitarist shut up? You put a bit of sheet music in front of him. But it's true. Reading sheet music, important, I'd say. Definitely very helpful, but not the most important thing in the world. Let's take a look. Hybrid picking, good to know, but it can wait. I've noticed that, no, actually, no, it's important. Hybrid picking is really good. It can get you out of sticky situations where there's string skipping or awkward chord shapes that have strings that you're not supposed to play. Hybrid picking is basically where you use your pick and your fingers at the same time. Hybrid picking is an important technique to know. Diminished chords. Diminished chords are very cool chords. They're very important to learn, but I'd say they're not essential, so let's put them there. Diminished chords, they can be used for a lot of purposes. I like to use them as a passing chord. So in between two chords that are a tone apart. So for example, C and D. Yeah, you can play a diminished chord at C sharp. Okay. Then maybe if I was going to E minor, I could play D sharp diminished into the E minor. Okay, so that's one of the really cool uses of diminished chords. Just like most of the things in the list, I've done a video on diminished chords, so if you want to check it out, I'll link all the videos that you can check out in the description. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing. The pentatonic scale, yep, absolute must. Ooh, I'm debating whether to put it in the learn straight away. Actually, why haven't you learnt this yet? It is probably the first scale that you should learn. Absolutely essential. You should learn all 5 shapes, and this is the first thing you're going to be able to use to solo up and down the fretboard. Okay, so you've got all these different shapes, yeah? The great thing about the pentatonic scale is it's only 2 notes per string, so the shapes are quite easy to remember, and then you can solo all over the fretboard. Essential scale in major keys, minor keys, the pentatonic scale works, okay? So let's keep going. Bending, it's an important technique. Not the first technique that I would learn though, but it's quite self-explanatory there. We're bending the string and moving up to a new pitch, okay? Nothing more needs to be said there, I don't think. But yeah, it's an important technique, but not one to prioritize. Vibrato, probably go in between these two if I could put it in between, but I'll put it in essential. Vibrato, obviously just getting that kind of like vibrato sound, I guess, rather than just playing a note plainly like this. The vibrato just sounds a little nicer, makes the guitar sing a little bit more. I noticed with beginner guitar players, they tend to really bend the string when they're doing the vibrato, so it's actually quite a tricky technique to get down, but once you've got it down, really adds a lot to your playing, even though it's a subtle technique. Okay, so let's keep going. Palm muting, it's an important technique to know, not essential though, but if you're playing rock or metal, then maybe we'd move it up to essential or learn this straight away. But if you're playing calmer genres like neosoul, jazz, whatever, then it's not used as much. It's still used, but can be left for a while until you learn the more important things, okay? So it's just giving us that muted sound. We can use it in solos. Okay, let's keep going. Quartal harmony, good to know, but it can wait. Basically, as I said earlier, we've got tertiary harmony where we build chords in thirds. With quartal harmony, we'd build chords in fourths. Okay, you get a bit more of a nebulous kind of like unresolved sound with these chords, and it's more for kind of jazz playing. Not really an essential technique. It is definitely good to know and gives you more options for your soloing and chord progressions, but more important things to learn. Let's keep going. Upper extensions, essential. If you want to play these more modern genres like neosoul, then learning your 9ths, 11ths and 13ths, really, really important. Playing a minor 9 there, it already sounds like neosoul, just me playing the chord. Okay, the major 9, okay, dominant 9, okay, then you've got 11th chords, minor 11, dominant 11, okay, major 13s, okay, dominant 13s, okay, all sorts of chords, all right? So very, very important to learn if you want to add a bit more spice to your chord progressions. Double stops, let's go. It'd go in between these two if I could put it in between. Let's go essential. When you're soloing, you can play single notes, but you could also play 2 notes at the same time, okay? Okay, just adds a lot more variety and interest to your playing, as most of these techniques do. Augmented chords, I'd place them important in the same place as diminished chords as well. They're one of those chords that can really add to your playing as a passing chord. Lots of different uses for them. Okay, you can use them after your 1 or 5 chords. So basically, in the key of C, for example, you could play C, then you could play C augmented. Okay, then from there you could go to either chord 1, 4, or 6. So you could go to C, F, or G. So I could go, or, okay. And the same thing from chord 5 as well. I've done a video on augmented chords. I don't want to spend too much time going over them. So, and there's lots of other uses for them as well. So check out my video on augmented chords. I'll show you how to change key with them, all sorts. Crazy chord to know, okay? Lots and lots of options you have with the augmented chord. So it's in the important section. There's more things you should probably learn before that though, okay? Tremolo picking, that can go in important as well. Maybe higher up if you're playing post-rock or metal. Tremolo picking is more important in those genres. But tremolo picking, if you don't know, it's just picking really, really fast, okay? Let's keep going. Secondary dominance, essential, okay? If you want to spice your chord progressions up, okay? So when we play a dominant 7th chord, a 5th above the target chord. So if our target chord is A minor, a 5th above A is E, so we play E7 just before playing the A minor, okay? If our target chord was F, we could play the dominant 7th chord, that's a 5th above, which is C, so we could play C7 into the F, okay? And this can be anywhere in the chord progression, so C, E7, secondary dominant, A minor, C7, that's our secondary dominant, leading into F, okay? Really, really cool technique. Done a video on it as well, so you can check that out. And also, it's in my book, Chord Charisma. I go over lots of different examples and describe the technique in detail, along with all the other chord progression techniques you've got here and more. So check out Chord Charisma 2.0 if you want to take your chord game to the next level. Melodic minor modes, good to know, but they can wait. I use them a lot, but obviously more important things to prioritize, okay? Melodic minor modes really start adding a jazzy element to your solos. You've got things like the altered dominant scale. Okay, which you play over altered dominant chords. Okay, which I think we haven't gone over yet, but we'll talk about them in a minute. Lots of different uses. You've got like the Lydian dominant scale. You've got the Mixolydian flat 6 scale. That's a really, really cool scale. You get this cool. Yeah, it's awesome kind of mix of a major and a minor scale. So yeah, definitely really, really cool sounds you can create with the melodic minor modes, but definitely not the first thing you should learn, especially as you should learn the major scale modes first. And I'm gonna place those in the important section. I'm gonna place harmonic minor modes in good to know as well, just because of course you wanna learn the major scale modes first. Let's keep going. We've only got 3 left now. Modal interchange, important. Modal interchange is basically where we borrow chords from parallel modes, okay? So a parallel mode is a mode with the same root note. So if we're playing in the key of C major, we could borrow chords from C minor, C Phrygian, C Dorian, whatever, and you get cool effects. So like, for example, I could borrow an F minor from the key of C minor, and we're playing generally in the key of C major. our borrowed chord. And there we got the C again. Very, very cool technique. Lots and lots and lots of different options. You can really experiment and go crazy with modal interchange, create some really nice spicy sounds and spicy chord progressions up, okay? Let's keep going. Two more. Altered dominants. Seeing as the melodic minor modes are in good to know, I'm going to put this in good to know as well. This is probably one of the first steps to jazzing up your chord progressions if you really want to get that jazzy sound. Altered dominant chords are basically dominant chords but with an altered fifth, so you could flatten the fifth or sharpen the fifth, or you could add a ninth to the chord, but it has to be a flattened ninth or a sharp ninth, okay? And you get these cool sounds. So if we've got dominant 7 sharp 5, dominant 7 flat 5, dominant 7 flat 9, and a dominant 7 sharp 9. Okay, you get these really, really cool sounds, and you can mix the fifths and ninths together as well. Again, video and in my book as well, I talk about altered dominant chords extensively. And finally, we've got tritone substitution, which is going to go in good to know, but can wait as well. Tritone substitution is when we can replace a dominant 7th chord with another dominant 7th chord that is a tritone above it. So if we're playing a D7, we can replace it with an A flat 7, and it has the same effect, okay? And going back to G, okay? Very, very cool technique to add into your playing. Lots of soloing options you've got for it. I might do a tritone substitution soloing video soon, actually. Good to know, but it can wait, okay? So we've done everything here. To summarize, this basically creates an order of things you should learn on guitar, okay? I mean, maybe if I thought about it a bit more, some things are gonna change, but generally, if you haven't learned these things at the top yet, the note names, your intervals, note values, time signatures, reading tabs and chord diagrams, let's put that there, because if you haven't done that, you just need to do that first. And the pentatonic scale, absolutely prioritize these things first, okay? Things you should learn straight away after learning all of these things is, well, you should work on your ear training, okay? Make sure you get your ear training to a decent standard. You should learn the major scale, as that basically forms kind of the basis of Western music, right? Tertiary harmony is what comes next after you learn the major scale. That's how to use the major scale to create chords and chord progressions, okay? Hammerons and Pulloffs, yeah, just the basics of like making your soloing sound a bit nicer. Inversions, okay? Rearranging your chords, good. Alternate picking and dynamics, okay? I'm aware this is getting very long now, so let's quickly run over these things. Grace notes, transposition, slides, functional harmony, 7th chords, articulation, cage system, vibrato, upper extensions, double stops, and secondary dominants. Essential things that you want to learn after this, okay? And then the things below, I'd say, are the things that are very important to know, but again, not a priority for now if you don't know the things in the top 3 tiers, okay? I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you want to see more of these tier lists down below, and if you do have any ideas for tier lists, let me know in the comments as well. If you enjoyed the video, click like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already as well, okay? Now, if you're looking to take your chord progression game to the next level, then obviously, as I've said earlier, I've written a book called Chord Charisma 2.0, and I'm offering the first 2 chapters of that book for free. Those first 2 chapters are going to show you functional harmony, okay, how to write a chord progression, how to add tension and release to that chord progression, and then I'm going to show you the extensions, the upper extensions like 9ths, 11ths, and 13ths that you can add to those chords. That's completely free for you down in the description. You can also buy the book as well. And if you're a beginner guitarist, let's chuck my pick over there. If you're a beginner guitarist and you're looking to play the neo-soul genre, I've done a class that you can get on Skillshare. Link is down in the description. If you sign up, you get a 1-month free trial. So that basically means you can check out the course completely free and then cancel your subscription if you're not a fan of Skillshare. And that's about it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in another one. See you later.